In the fast-moving landscape of modern entertainment, there are performers who follow the script, and then there are performers who set the script on fire. If you've spent any time following the pulse of pop culture or digital media over the last decade, you know the name. It's a name that carries a certain weight, a name that sounds like a superhero and a warning all at once: Abella Danger. But to look at Abella only through the lens of her resume is to miss the bigger picture. She isn't just one of the most decorated performers of her generation. She is a cultural phenomenon, a master of personal branding, and a woman who transformed a career into a global empire through sheer charisma and an unstoppable work ethic. Today, we're looking at the journey of the Miami Powerhouse. This isn't just a story about fame, it's a story about how Abella Danger became the most relatable GOAT in the history of the industry. Every legend has an origin story, and for Abella, it starts in the vibrant, high-energy streets of Miami. Born in 1995, she entered the scene in 2014. At just 19 years old, she didn't just enter the industry, she collided with it. What was immediately clear to directors and fans alike was that Abella wasn't performing in the traditional sense, she was living. She brought a raw, unbridled, kinetic energy to the screen that was impossible to ignore. In an era where many performers were opting for a polished, almost robotic aesthetic, Abella was a breath of fresh air. She was loud, she was expressive, and she was unapologetically herself. She quickly racked up accolades, AVN Awards, XRCO Awards, you name it, she won it. But the trophies weren't what made her special, it was her it factor. Within her first 2 years, she had achieved a level of name recognition that usually takes a decade. She became the director's choice, not just because she was a professional, but because she made everyone around her better. Her enthusiasm was contagious. When Abella walked onto a set, the energy shifted. She wasn't just there to do a job, she was there to create an experience. And that passion resonated through the screen and directly with her audience. So what is the Abella Factor? If you ask her millions of followers, they won't just talk about her appearance, they'll talk about her personality. In a world of filtered Instagram perfection, Abella Danger has always been refreshingly human. She's the girl who will crack a joke in the middle of a high-pressure shoot. She's the one who shares her love for food, her struggles with fitness, and her unapologetic Miami roots. Abella mastered the art of the parasocial relationship before it was a marketing buzzword. When you watch an interview with her, you feel like you're talking to a friend you've known for 10 years. She's candid, she's funny, and she's incredibly smart. She broke the fourth wall of the industry. She showed the world that you could be a top-tier performer and still be a goofball, a nerd, and a business mogul. She humanized an industry that is often misunderstood, and in doing so, she became a bridge between the niche and the mainstream. Her fans don't just admire her, they feel like they're rooting for her. You don't stay at the top for over 10 years by accident. The industry is notoriously grueling, with high turnover and a constant influx of new talent. To remain relevant for a decade and to remain the most searched, most watched, and most discussed requires a work ethic that would put most CEOs to shame. Abella Danger is a machine. During her peak years, her output was staggering. But it wasn't just about quantity, it was about the standard of excellence she set. She approached every set with the goal of being the hardest working person in the room. But Abella also understood the shifting tides of the digital age. She didn't just rely on studios, she built her own platforms. She embraced the creator economy early, understanding that her brand was her most valuable asset. She navigated the transition from traditional media to social media stardom with surgical precision. She knew when to pivot, when to double down, and how to protect her peace while staying in the spotlight. This foresight allowed her to maintain control over her career in a way few others have. She isn't just a participant in the industry, she is an architect of her own destiny. In recent years, we've seen a new side of Abella. As she began to scale back on her filming schedule, she didn't disappear. Instead, she evolved. She became a fixture in the podcasting world, appearing on some of the biggest shows on the internet. Whether she was talking about relationships, mental health, or the intricacies of the business, she proved to be a compelling, articulate communicator. Her own ventures, like the Higher Learning podcast, showed a woman who was deeply introspective. She began to use her platform to talk about the reality of being a woman in the public eye. She spoke about boundaries, about the importance of self-love, and about the complexities of her career path. She showed that she wasn't afraid to grow up in front of the world. This Abella 2.0 is perhaps her most impressive iteration yet. She's no longer just a performer, she's an influencer in the truest sense of the word. She has navigated the leap from a niche star to a household name in the broader digital landscape, all while keeping her dignity and her sense of humor intact. What makes Abella truly special is her resilience. She has faced the scrutiny and the stigma that comes with her profession with a level of grace that is rare. She never let the noise define her. Instead, she defined herself. She took the name Danger and turned it into a brand synonymous with confidence and joy. She proved that you can be vulnerable and powerful at the same time. As we look at the legacy of Abella Danger, it's clear that she has left the industry better than she found it. She empowered a new generation of performers to take control of their own narratives. She showed that you can be successful without losing your soul, and that being authentic isn't just a tagline, it's a career strategy. She advocated for better conditions, better communication, and a more professional approach to the craft. Her influence is felt every time a new performer decides to build their own brand rather than just waiting for the phone to ring. Abella is a reminder that in any field, the people who truly leave a mark are the ones who bring their full selves to the table. She didn't try to fit into a mold, she broke the mold and built something new in its place. She taught us that energy is the ultimate currency. If you give the world your best, most unfiltered self, the world will give it back to you tenfold. Whether you know her from the screen, from a viral clip, or from a candid podcast interview, one thing is undeniable. Abella Danger is a one of one. She is the Miami girl who conquered the world, the performer who became a peer, and the icon who reminded us all to live life with a little bit of fire. Her story is far from over, and if her past is any indication, whatever she does next will be just as explosive, just as genuine, and just as undeniably Abella. She didn't just play the game, she changed how the game is played forever.
Her real victory lies in the way she dismantled the invisible walls surrounding her profession. She didn't just survive the scrutiny, she invited the world to look closer, to see the intelligence behind the eyes and the strategy behind the smile. By being so radically transparent about her journey, the highs of the awards and the realities of the grind, she turned a spotlight into a conversation. She transitioned from being the subject of the camera to the owner of the lens, proving that a woman's narrative is hers alone to command. As the digital landscape continues to shift, Abella stands as a blueprint for the modern multi-hyphenate. She represents the shift from being a talent to being a visionary. Her path teaches us that longevity isn't about staying the same. It's about having the courage to evolve even when the world wants you to stay exactly where you are. She chose growth over comfort, and in doing so, she became more than just a famous face. She became a case study in self-actualization. So, when we look back at this era of internet culture, we won't just remember a performer who dominated the charts. We will remember the woman who looked at the glass ceiling of her industry and realized she was strong enough to walk right through it. She didn't just meet the standard, she became the standard. Abella Danger's career is a masterclass in staying true to yourself while constantly becoming something more. The screen might have introduced her to us, but her spirit is what ensured we would never forget her. She is the definitive proof that when you own your story, you own the world.